Welcome to UpYourStack Podcast. I'm your host, Noah Berk. I'm also the co-founder of OBO, an elite HubSpot solutions partner. Every week, we feature some of our favorite app developers who've either built their apps on HubSpot or have integrated with HubSpot, help you get the most out of your HubSpot tech stack. Today, I have an awesome guest, Anton, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about his app and what it does to help you get HubSpot faster. So, Anton, welcome to the show.
Hi, Noah. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Let's just dive right into it. Anton, what does Import2 do?
Yeah, sure. We migrate your data. Whenever you want to switch software, we help you to do that faster.
And you know what? I'm sure a lot of people are listening, but like, heck, that happens all the time. Maybe they're not necessarily switching their software all the time, but they're going ahead and saying, how do I better migrate that software? And so I guess my big question is, there's other applications who kind of help with this how did this app come about? Like, why did you create it in the first place?
Actually, it's interesting. I don't think there are many software or apps that are doing that. It's a difficult problem.
A small number. You are right about that. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah. And like the typical way to do that would be like using our built-in CSV import tools or hiring a consultant who would do that for you. So it's like a different take on this problem. And how it happened, it takes us to 2011, so almost 14 years ago. We were in a startup incubator, and our idea was something like a Slack. Like there was no Slack yet, but something like a Slack. And like a big part of the Slack was when it came was all those integrations with different pieces of software that you use in your team, and they would fill in this activity stream. Oh, what's happening there was happening here. And like that part we got right, but the chatting part is what we were missing. And so we didn't get any traction, and we had this like bunch of software that could connect well with different apps. And we didn't know what to do. We were like entertaining any offer, anything. And
just trying to make money, do something that has traction on it. That's a pretty typical entrepreneur story.
And then by chance, we learned about this problem. Like one of our friends was PipeDrive CEO at the time. And on the height, he asked, we're having this problem, we cannot onboard people fast enough. Can you help us migrate people from Highrise to PipeDrive? And we were like, oh, wait a minute. That could be something interesting. We know this stuff. And yeah, we started from there. And it took us a little bit of time before we could make a contract with PipeDrive and start earning our money. Before that, there was this interesting story of us putting up the web page with 6 fields and big PayPal button and figuring out if anyone is feeling lucky enough to give us money before us building anything.
So people were able to do this essentially for free. So it was almost like you're asking for donations in the beginning in terms of doing the migrations, or did they have to at least pay you to use the software?
Actually, we didn't have anything. We just had this HTML page with 4 fields, like where you're migrating from and 2 or 3 choices there. Where you're migrating to, 2 or 3 choices there, and like your username, your password, and let's go. Pay us $1,000 and let's go. And to our surprise, like in a week or 2, somebody actually purchased that. And like the funny thing, I was for a couple of days on vacation, like hiking in Yosemite. And at the same time, we're like building this in the back end, building all those scripts to make this migration happen from Sugar to Salesforce for that customer.
Wow. So that customer came to you for a particular use case from Sugar to Salesforce. It wasn't like you even had it. They're like, here's $1,000, figure out how to make this happen. You're like, got it. Let me go ahead and build this one-off for you guys.
Yeah. But right from the beginning, we thought, we don't want to build a consulting agency. We want to build like a product company. Like it took us a while. And they were we moved in different directions. Yes. But like the vision was always the kind of from those scripts, we gradually built up the software piece.
And where is this traction coming from? You guys have been around for quite some time, obviously 2011, almost 15 years, 14, I guess 13 if you do the math for everyone out there. But where does this traction come from? Is it generally coming from the individual software companies who are recommending you to their clients as a tool to use to import the data? But how are you guys gaining traction in the marketplace?
So the main part right now is like our customer are SaaS vendors. And for them, we solve the problem or onboarding their customers and helping them grow, right? Like the more customers you get, the better you grow. If you have some barriers, like data migration is a barrier. We're removing that barrier for them. And that's like, they find about us. That's like PipeDrive would be like the first, our partner would be the big place where competitors would know about us and they would study and they would think if that's something that they need, and also they find that they do, and then they reach out to us. So that would be one channel how they find us, but also Google, normal people, organizations who are facing this trouble of, okay, I need to migrate to HubSpot. Like I want to use HubSpot, but how do I do that? What are my options? And among the agencies, among the those guides that allow you to migrate manually with CSVs.
So what you're seeing is this is a great use case if you have a traditional CSV you want to download and upload into the new system, but you guys have just made it a more simple process. Is there a particular type of client who you hear maybe does it matter how many records they have they're trying to migrate? Does it matter how many objects they're trying to migrate? Does it matter the size of the team? Is there a sweet spot for Import2 in this marketplace?
I think any organization actually, any organization that previously used a software. So if they were using CRM and it doesn't satisfy their needs anymore, then like they are a customer, and it actually doesn't matter amount of the records. Obviously, like if it's like you have full of clients, then like the whole migration thing isn't a migration for you. You just like start doing the same thing in a new software. But from there, what we are seeing is every organization just want to do the thing that they're best at, right? Nobody wants to pause the business thing and okay, let's now like figure out the data structure of sport. Where do tasks go into? Where do nodes go into? And what is the right way to move the description of a node? What is the right way to move like phone numbers of a customer? It's a lot of details, a lot of step-by-step execution, and very error prone. And we solve that. And in matter for smaller customers, even in matter of minutes, you would see your data already in HubSpot. For larger customers like ours, comparing to weeks and months of diligent planning, if you're doing it the other way.
Sure, absolutely. And with your software, I know a lot of times clients, hey, I want to move all my activity history over because I want to continue to report on all my activity history. And are clients able to use your software for those type of use cases?
Sure.
Yeah. And do you notice when most companies come to you, are they coming to you because they're saying, hey, listen, I tried doing this on my own, but it wasn't successful? Or are they coming to you being like, hey, I just know I don't want to do this on my own. I want a tool to be able to do this for me. And then you guys are my first choice.
Both. But like with HubSpot, there is a segment of customers who actually try doing it on their own because HubSpot has a nice integration with Salesforce. And it synchronizes a lot of traditional CRM data between those two, but it's not the migration, it's synchronization. And like the devil is in the details. And like the problem is with those activities and like leaking records correctly and like error handling when there is like mismatches and with synchronization, you have to like always keep that up to date. With migration, like one-off switch. And like people are coming to us and telling us, okay, I've done this thing and can you complete this, finish that? Sometimes we can, sometimes we ask them, okay, let's revert this and let's do it like a clean slate and we do everything and it will be faster and less stressful.
Now, most people think of migration and they're like, how hard can it be? You just download some records and you upload some records and it lines up perfectly. Like, how hard is this? They may be asking themselves, like, why is there even tools out there that do this? Shouldn't this be easy? I'm speaking from the standpoint of a business user who's never done anything technical before. But explain to me what goes into it. Why is this challenging for an organization to generally do a migration on their own without leveraging something like an Import2 or a consultant?
I might be going too technical here, but first of all, every app has a different data model, and HubSpot has a certain way of representing phone numbers. Let's say PipeDrive has the other way. And like, how do you reconcile that? How do you make sure you're not losing anything? Then the other thing is what is the right order of importing those like files or those objects or those records? What goes first? Do contacts go first or opportunities, deals go first? And if I have imported something, how do I connect? Like deal is how do I preserve this link between that deal A is linked to that customer or that contact and replicate this whole structure in the software that I actually don't have I don't know how HubSpot works. I don't know its data model. It's actually quite difficult. And like making sure, like, for instance, completed tasks are actually completed, not now all the tasks that again open and you need to go and, I don't know, manually send them off.
So in other words, it's preserving a lot of what's existing. I think a lot of people don't realize that. So like, how hard can it be to download and upload your deal objects? But then you need to be able to connect those deals to the appropriate contact, to the appropriate company record, making sure all those activities are associated to the appropriate deal or company record or contact record. Maybe you don't want it all associated because you didn't have it all associated before. Maybe you have a custom object here or there.
Yeah, custom object, custom fields is another big piece of it. And that's actually one of the requested features, recreating the whole structure that you had in your previous software in the new software, like custom object, custom fields, and then like automatically mapping all the data into the right places. If I had like something filled in that particular field on an account, it's moved to HubSpot on the corresponding company into the same custom field in the appropriate format.
And let's take some of your more complicated use cases. I know for a simple use case, you're like, yeah, in a couple of minutes, you could be up and running with all your data in a new system. But let's take a more complicated use case. Maybe it's a larger sales organization or customer service, marketing, sales, and they're migrating from, let's say, Salesforce into HubSpot. What are things that you think would surprise or end users are generally surprised about, either A, in the amount of time it takes to do, or B, what the requirements are in general? What are they seeing when they're doing this? And what are things they should be prepared for themselves when especially leveraging a tool like Import to handle this migration? Is there prep work they need to be working on in advance? Walk me through what the expectation would be for the customer.
Yeah, I think one thing that comes to mind is like the switch over. Migration is done. You have to start working in the new software. You cannot continue working in the old software and think that somehow magically all the data will end up in the HubSpot. So that's, I guess, the most important part. Other than that, I would say the software takes care, like Import2 takes care of most aspects. So it actually walks you through, and it allows you to do the sample migration and check if everything is working. Like if everything that you see in your old software, you see now in your software, or something is missing. If something is missing or something isn't quite right, you can tweak that and try again.
Yeah.
And this way, it doesn't like the people can continue working, or like your team can continue working in the old software until you get that just right. And then it's a matter of clicking the button and having all your data moved over and just starting anew in the new software.
Do you generally recommend a particular time to do it? Try it over the weekend or at nighttime? When do you generally recommend the clients kind of think of that crossover switch over?
Logical would be doing when it's a little bit of downtime, especially when we are migrating between help desks. So it's like with CRM is a little bit simpler because there is like this real-time component, or inbound outreach is limited.
Yeah.
You can control, but with very busy help desks, it's like
you have to be on point with that help desk. You have to know, like, all right, last ticket coming through the help desk at 12 p.m. starting 12:01. It's all coming through this other system. So there's a lot of other things they should probably be thinking about. Obviously, we've been making that switch over. And to your point, downtime makes the most sense when the least tickets are coming in, so they can effectively capture all of them.
Yeah, and I guess two more things. One is kind of a matching or deduplication. Because if you already have some data in your new CRM help desk, you don't want to create duplicates. You want it to be able to intelligently find that data and attach like everything. Replace that account from here with that already existing company in HubSpot, but attach everything to that one. So that's an important bit. And also data validation piece. I think that's the hardest part, because every app, CRM, help desk, they have their own business rules, validation rules. For some, the phone has to look this way, for the other way. And figuring out that manually with CSV files, it's a very big pain. And same with data form, like dates format, right? Like that format or this format. And you open your CSV file in Excel, it changes the format just for no obvious reason. And you end up with case files.
Not what you wanted in the end in that particular situation. One of the questions is, I know there's not necessarily a lot of companies who do what you do. There are some, but how would you say you differentiate yourself versus your competitors in the space?
Yeah, I would say we aim to be the fastest.
We're fast.
We don't want you to spend every unnecessary moments making any decisions unless you want to. If you want to, you can go the whole path of controlling everything. But in general, we believe that customers want to get back to their core thing fastest possible way. And we aim for speed, simplicity, and making smart decisions for you, smart defaults, automating things like recreating the strong data structures, custom data structures, custom fields, custom objects for you right there before you even think about it.
So one of the questions I guess I really have is, what's the future of Import2? Obviously, there's a lot going on with AI these days, but what's the future for you guys? What are you working on these days?
One big direction is to be able to offer migration into the broader niches, broader ecosystems, more software. So historically, we've been more CRM and help desk oriented. Now we are broadening this into marketing, applicant tracking system, project management. Basically, our belief is that we are helping to speed up the innovation. Like, companies' growth or organizational growth should not be bound by the software that they're using. If software is not working for them anymore, they should be free to go and use the better software. And HubSpot growth over the last years was testament to that. How many organizations found out that the HubSpot is the real thing that they should be, that works better for them?
Yeah.
So fueling that. And with AI, we already have a piece of that when we automatically recreate data structures, automatically find the right places where matching the right place in one app to the right place in the other app. And we are looking for leveraging AI to support more migration, basically supporting any migration from any point A to point B software. And
So I love what you said earlier, really about freeing people to pick and choose what software they want to go to and taking away the hurdle of the migration itself. And obviously, there's more to it than just the data to get into the new system, but this is a big piece that companies are constantly battling with, is how do we migrate that data appropriately? And in your lessons learned, do you generally point people to a checklist of things they should be keeping in mind? Is there material out there in terms of, hey, when you're migrating, these are things that other customers have come across that you may want to consider? Are there any other tips that you may have for people who are looking to migrate from one software to the next?
Yeah, we generally try to codify the experience. So this is the 14 years of experience. Like every new beat we learn that, it should be happening this way. We are trying to make sure that the next customer who does the same thing, for them, it's already happening automatically, intelligently, not requiring them to think about it. And it's very hard to do when you're doing that manually, or when you're asking customers, okay, here is the guide, you do it yourself. It's when you stumble on the same thing every time, you want to remove that thing from your path, and you don't want to feel that pain again. And it's possible when this is your core thing that you're doing, like migration for Import2. But if it's something you're doing only once or once in a while, I don't think you have enough incentive to improve that or to automate that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been running this for quite some time. What of you looking back, and you could have given advice to yourself back in 2011, what advice would you give yourself now as an early entrepreneur?
Good question. I guess I would try to be more focused,
I
not
think that's
running
a common
for
answer. I give the same thing to people as well.
not running for every new shiny thing around. Is just taking this thing that you're doing and continuing doing it and figuring out how to make it compound faster.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's great advice, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to hear it. As an entrepreneur, by its nature, you're probably chasing shiny objects because
Yeah.
there's always going to be a new shiny object to chase as you're going
Yeah.
along. Anton, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing what Import2 does, what migrations are like, what people need to do to prep for migrations in advance. And to all of our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Really wraps up today's conversation with Anton from Import2. And again, UpYourStack is a weekly podcast that features app partners, people who've either built the app on HubSpot or integrated with HubSpot, and brought to you by OBO, an elite HubSpot solutions partner. Anton, if people are interested to learn more about you, how do they find out about you and how do they find out more about Import2?
Yeah. So first of all, Noah, thank you very much for this opportunity to tell our story and talk about migration. Not every day I have this opportunity.
Great.
Yeah. You can find us on LinkedIn, Import2, import as a word, 2 as a number, Import2. And on X, at Import2. Here it's import and then 2 letters, TO, Import2.
Awesome. Anton, thank you again so much. And again, if you guys are interested in leveling up your own HubSpot, feel free to reach out to the OBO Group, www.theobogroup.com. And again, that wraps us up. Again, thanks for joining us.